Well, I got a confession to make. It's a pretty embarrassing confession, but I kind of feel like I owe it to you guys. I've shared a lot of my successes, I've shared a lot of my achievements on this channel, so I think it's only fair that I tell you guys at the times that I screw up. I've had a rattle in my truck that has been driving me crazy for quite a few years. I could not trace it, and it's pretty bad. It sounded like something really heavy. Not knowing what this rattle was, not knowing where it came from, undermined my confidence in my mechanical ability. I was concerned that at any moment, this rattle could become catastrophic and the truck could explode. I'm happy to say I have found that rattle. At least I think I have, because I haven't fixed the problem yet. So fingers crossed that when I fix the problem, it will truly be gone. But it was my steering column. I know. How stupid is that? It's been staring me. Literally staring me in the face for years. The housing was cracked and broken down inside. The bearing, the cage bearing was split and there was bearings missing. Well, I'm dealing with it now. I have to, because as you'll see in a sec, I don't have a steering wheel in right now, and I can't drive my truck without a steering wheel. Fortunately, nobody else can, which is part of my security system. But let's show you guys where it was, and let's talk about how we're gonna fix it. See this, but I don't even think they're, oh yep, they're still bearings. But, and they still move, which is why I thought it was still good, but no, it is. It's all come apart in here. It's done. This plate, oh, this rubber is still good. Man, that's pretty impressive. But as you can see, all of my electrical stuff, I hacked up and butchered years ago because it wasn't working. But look at this guy. How have I been driving around with this disgusting broken contraption? And then this, I don't even know how this happened. It's all cracked and broken and yeah. My new steering column. I got a 35-inch universal fit column. Actually, no, it's not a column shift. It's a floor shift steering column. Oh, yeah. The unit that Ididit recommended was the 35-inch universal mount with floor shift and dash ignition in the unpainted finish. Okay, so here is the next part of the plan to get the steering column in there. I mocked it up, just putting it in and linking it up, and it worked. But I need some way to fabricate connecting the upper mounts to the steering column. So in the old steering column, it was just some nuts. I'll show you. It's just these guys right here. There they are. These guys right here that the upper bracket bolted into just to locate the bracket. I mean the column. It really didn't do much. So my solution for that has been this right here. I'm gonna tack these guys gently to the column and go test fit it. And if they're good, I'll spot weld them all around and we'll be ready to paint this thing. Pretty happy where this is lining up. That looks really good too. So that's it straight. Yeah, there we go. I'm pleased with how that's looking. You'll see down here, this is the bracket that I was referring to. This one's a little off. I'm just gonna have to over drill that hole slightly, not a big deal. And yeah, let's get these all burned in. All I've done is tacked some bolts on where it would have mounted. I ran some washers to set the height. Let's throw it in there. Underneath right here, this is the Borgeson shaft that gets rid of the rag joint. And then in the back you can see, what you're gonna see as you look down, you see my intermediate shaft down there. So there it is, right there. That's where the Ididit column starts. Okay, now my shock is in the way, so I don't have a straight run down to that steering box. This video is not coming up very well. You guys see that down there. So I had to put this little, I had to cut my intermediate shaft and put in this redirectional. So 3 U-joints in my steering shaft right there, but whatever. It works. And here's the column. Fits well, looks good. You see the brackets that I mocked up in there. So while trying to chase down some of the resistance I had after I swapped in the column, I got the truck up on jack stands so I could just cycle the steering and see if there was anything that I could notice that was interfering. And I'm stoked to say that no, everything's running good. This gives you guys a good view of my tie rod, my drag link, the pan hard bar, and then down at the bottom right, you're going to see the PSC ram firing to pull that guy, the tie rod, back and forth. This was an exercise to see if there was anything just glaring that I needed to fix, and I'm stoked to say that no, everything plays nicely with each other, the clearances are there, and it was able to move freely. So I was able to get into my intermediate shaft and start making some adjustments on that and smooth out the full cycle pretty significantly. I'll show you that now. So it's just a little bit of fine tuning now to make sure that the steering is running exactly as I would like it. The intermediate shaft that I have that runs from the shaft, the steering column, down to the box, I have to run a dog leg and a universal halfway down so it gets around the coilover, because there isn't a straight shot anymore. So what that leads to is a little bit of resistance at certain parts in the rotation just due to the universals in there. So I'm trying to find the happy spot that I'm able to move it medial lateral, left to right, with the nut that's mounted on the tab that I welded to the bump stop. I'll show you what I mean in here. What I'm trying to adjust is this guy right here. By moving that heim joint inboard and outboard, I was able to find the sweet spot that basically balanced the universal joints. You don't want the universal joints out of phase with each other, and I think that was what might have been happening as they were fighting each other a little bit. So taking out as much of the dog leg as I could and letting it find its happy place smoothed things out significantly, and I am good to go. So lesson to all you guys out there: don't be like me. If you have a problem on your truck, don't be afraid to tackle it. You just gotta take it a step at a time. This thing has been problematic for a long time, and I had a suspicion where it might be coming from, and I just chickened out because it seemed complicated. It's working so much better now. I still have some fine tuning to do on it, but I'm so happy to have this column in here and to get rid of all the broken pieces that I had in my other one. Now, that may not be necessary for you guys to replace the entire column. There's a lot of places out there that will rebuild these columns for you, especially if you have like column shift and ignition and tilt and all the controls on the column. You're most likely going to be better off just getting your column rebuilt. Having a stripped down model like I have made things quite a bit simpler and cheaper. But yeah, don't necessarily discard the idea of rebuilding your column. It's totally something that you guys can do in your garage. I chose not to because I had cracked housings and all kinds of problems. But a call around to junkyards to see if I could source another column led me to the discovery that a lot of these places will rebuild columns for you for about $300, $400, $500, which is cheaper than buying a new column. So keep that in the back of your mind. That's something that you guys might be interested in. And just go ahead and check the bolts that mount it in there. Maybe you don't have play in your steering column. Maybe you've just got play in the mounting bolts like I did. Remember, you've got 5 on the firewall that basically just hold it in place so it doesn't move up and down. They're not actually fixating the column at all. You've got 2 on the outside that do clamp down on the column. Then you've got 4 up on the column where it mounts the bracket, and 2 where the bracket mounts to the truck itself. Just go on and check those guys all out. There's nuts inside and screws inside the column that you can get to. But yeah, just get in there. You'll figure it out. Merricks Garage.